Two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, and we are the theme for the month is in fact holiday second chances. That means it could have been a film that we haven't discussed or a film that we have, and we just wanted to choose it to give it a second chance. So that was the theme that was chosen, since I kind of wanted to revisit, at least leave an option open to put Christmas movies in if you want, or at least the option of a second chances, since that was talked about before. But that being said, Tammy's choice for second chances is a film that we have discussed before on the channel. So if you want, you can go back and listen to the original discussion. But we're coming on to rediscuss it. So it is The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is a film from 1993. If you don't know anything about the characters, it's from the world of Tim Burton, which, if you know nothing about Tim Burton, he did some short films when he first started. I believe one was called Vincent, and the other was a short film of Frankenweenie, if I remember correctly.
Indeed.
Before he even did Edward Scissorhands, and whatnot. But this particular film was directed by Henry Selick, and it stars the voices of Danny Elfman and Chris Sarandon. Chris Sarandon did the voice acting of Jack Skellington. Danny Elfman actually did the singing voice of Jack Skellington, which the rest of the music was pretty much orchestrated and created for by Danny Elfman, which, if you know anything about Danny Elfman, is that he also was in a band of his own back in Wingo Wingo. So, but we also have the voices of Catherine O'Hara, William Hickey, Glenn Shaddix, Paul Rubens, Ken Page, among many others. So let's see what IMDb says about the film before we go into first impressions here. Jack Skellington, king of Halloween Town, discovers Christmas Town, but his attempt to bring Christmas to his home causes confusion. So, with that vague description, Tammy, since this was your choice, why did you choose this particular film?
When I first met you, you had told me how it was your sister's favorite, and I told you I didn't really care for it. And you always kept wanting to watch it, and I kept saying no. And so we finally did watch it, and I gave it a chance and watched it, and I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought, originally. So that's why I chose it as my second chances. I
Okay.
mean, when I first saw it and stuff, it just didn't. No, it wasn't anything that I seemed interested in. So
Okay. And what were your thoughts of it this time around?
it's more entertaining than I thought, and it's. I like all the. I get a kick of all the different characters and everything. It's unique. That's for sure. The music is cool in it. Um, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, I never really paid attention to it until I rewatched it. So, and I paid more attention and saw the cool characters and thought the music was cool and it was more entertaining.
I always wondered if Tim Burton actually stylized some of his characters from the world of some of the books from Edward Gorey. I don't know if any of you know this American writer, but he did some books back in the day that were kind of like Halloweenish, where the his drawings that went along with his stories just kind of reminded me of some of the characters. But in any case, let's go over to you, Jake. Why don't you tell us? Was this a first time watch for you?
It's not. In fact, I mean, it's not a first time watch for any of us because we were all on the original discussion. But and that one, I think it was a couple years back. I would definitely. I do recall, because I actually led that discussion. I do recall that that subject came up before, and I feel like I said maybe, but I can't remember honestly. But whatever the case, I have seen this movie several times over the years. I know last time I expressed some disappointment at how short and slight the film feels when you're at times. It depends on the mood you're in. And this time around, I did not feel all that much slighted. Granted, I was very tired, and so I was kind of grateful for the short run time. But it is a short movie. But I have always liked it. I can't remember when I first saw it. I can't remember. I do remember that I kind of grew into it. Like I probably saw it a couple of times before I really loved it. But I do remember liking it. I was already primed for the Tim Burton style, having already seen Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands, I think. I know I was a fan of the Beetlejuice cartoon. So I had probably seen enough to where I watched this and it didn't shock me the way it would have if I came to it blind. Let's put it that way. But over the years, it's just grown on me. It's so nostalgic. To me, this is a very, very nostalgic movie. And I literally, I'm going to be honest, I probably snoozed during this last viewing, but I could still discuss the whole movie because I remember it quite well. I mean, it's one I know. Let's put it that way. And part of that is because it is a full-on musical, and it lends so much of its success and so much of its story and everything is tied directly into that Danny Elfman music. And, Oogie Boogie's song has always been one of my favorites, and it is one of the great villain songs. This Is Halloween is just one of the best. We're starting a movie, and this is your entrance song. As entrance songs go, it's just, and you could almost say this being a Touchstone Pictures, but very nearly a Disney production. You could almost say, no, the Disney Princess song is the one in the graveyard. I was going to say, what's this? Could be it's not. It's the Action Has Started song. Let's put it that way. So it's got some great classic music, some iconic visuals. I mean, anyone who's ever walked by a Hot Topic knows what the characters look like. But they've become pretty iconic figures, especially Jack himself. And it there was some minor controversy over the years with people ascribing so much of this to Tim Burton, Henry Selick feeling just a little bit kind of shoved to the side. But overall, this is one that, I'll always be fond of this movie. I enjoy opportunities to talk about it. I don't know that I'll be bringing anything new to the table for this discussion, but to be honest, I'm not even going to pretend I know everything I said last time. So we'll see what happens. All right.
Okay. Heading over to you, Brandon. Was this a first time watch for you?
Of course. I've never seen this film before in my life. I did, instead of preparing by watching this film again for this discussion, I ended up actually watching our discussion on the film this time, which is probably twice the length of the film.
Yeah, I think you're about right.
And, it had 10 of us on instead of 4. So that's a big thing. So I'm going to try to do my best to keep it short and sweet, but I'm going to go with what I think. I was probably planning on saying, but was being polite and not saying. Because last time I had said that I seem to be liking this film more as time goes on. And I feel like that's a lie. It might have been true 2 years ago. But I've always felt this film is an excellent film, musically, artistically, production value. It's a great story and a great film to watch at both Christmas or Halloween or both. I think it's an amazing film for kids and probably one of Tim Burton's most iconic works. That said, I have gotten to the point where I don't want to watch the film anymore. I liken it a lot to, I guess, my feelings for the longest time on Bohemian Rhapsody, not the film, the song. It is a great song, and I do like the song, but back when I was getting into Queen, unfortunately, a film called Wayne's World was out, and I heard nothing but Bohemian Rhapsody, to the point where I knew on the surface it was a great song, but I just didn't want to hear it anymore. And I think that's how it was with this. I've seen this film a lot, and I think that it's just, I've gotten tired of it. So even this year when I did my watch, I was kind of half-heartedly watching it. So it's one of those films I think is a great film, but personally, I will probably sit it out for probably a good 2 to 3 years to see if that'll help. But yeah, I feel tired of it, I guess is the best word.
Well, that's not unexpected since you cram, 40 movies down each year just because of Christmas movies.
I don't like watching Christmas movies outside of the season. I have zero interest in them typically. But also I get very, very depressed this time of year. And one of the things that I do to try and I used to really love the Christmas season. It used to be one of my favorite times of year. So it gets harder and harder sometimes to reclaim that feeling. And part of my attempt to do it is usually just trying to throw as many holiday films on as humanly possible. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it is as it is. This one will probably be off the list for a while, but that's my thoughts.
Okay. Well, I am no stranger to this movie. My sister's favorite film is this film. And I remember walking past either I think it was Sam Goody or Suncoast. I think it was Sam Goody. When this film had the trailers that they would stick on TVs to sell TVs, just like they stuck the different images of Jurassic Park with Ian Malcolm not saying this is a pile of shit. They would edit it, and it became this is a pile of crap. Well, that I would walk by and see the part where he's walking down that elephant trunk looking thing, and for the longest time, I actually never saw this movie, and I think I saw it for the first time when I got it from the Disney Film Club, and I convinced Tammy to watch it for the first time. So that was some years back, and I've liked watching it ever since. Maybe it's because I like all the different characters. And I got into the Gumby type characters. I like the people behind it. I mean, you've got. I got into Oingo Boingo long before this film, and I know I've got the Oingo Boingo farewell DVD in my collection. So I was a fan of Danny Elfman for the longest time, and learning that he was the singing voice behind this made it even better, and things of that nature. So this is a film that grew on me from something that I didn't exactly see right away. It's not I guess it's not entirely a favorite, but there are songs that I enjoy from this soundtrack, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But the music does have to be mentioned, and it's just. And I also put this in line with like Tim Burton's version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So to me, this is another variation on the Grinch tale, because Jack Skellington does in fact try to steal Christmas, in a sense. So that's the bottom line, and it kind of like falls in line with that kind of thing. So, and I like Grinch type stuff. So that being said, Tammy, why don't you bring us into the plot?
Well, Jack is how do I put it? He feels something's missing. Every year everybody celebrates him for what he does at Halloween and all the scary things he comes up with and all the stunts and everything. And we find him after the opening of everybody singing about Halloween Town and celebrating him. He goes off by himself, and he is saying how much he's not feeling it anymore. So he continues wandering through the woods, and he comes across these trees, and he's got his faithful ghost pup Zero with him.
Mhm.
And they come across these trees, and one has got a
Easter
it
Bunny.
looks yeah, it's got an Easter bunny, and then another one's got what other one is there?
Four-leaf clover.
Four-leaf clover. Yeah, their trees are all for different holidays, and he sees the Christmas tree one, and he has to go check it out. And when he opens the door, he ends up in Christmas Town, and it seems like he's never seen snow, never seen as he's wandering around, and he's never seen people or little people, the elves. He's never seen the toys that are being made. He's never seen trees.
Happiness.
Yeah, the happiness, the trees being decorated, the whole thing. He doesn't understand this whole thing of Christmas Town. So he thinks if he takes it back to Halloween Town, he can make it his own because he doesn't really he doesn't understand it. He just wants to make it his own. So he goes back to Halloween Town, and he is recruiting everybody to make their version of presents, I guess you might say. Because he shows them the box with the wrapping and the bow, and the tree with all the lights and the thing and decorations on it, and but he doesn't understand the meaning behind any of this. So this is all showing the people of the town this without actually knowing the meaning of it at all. So he recruits everybody to make the presents and to do this and do that, and then he gets the young teenagers to go and kidnap Santa Claus. And their first attempt, they come back with an Easter bunny, which the poor Easter bunny gets very scared, and they take him back, and they get
Bunny.
Yes, bunny. So, and then they finally get Santa Claus. So, what does everybody think up to now about? Because Jack doesn't really seem to get the full meaning of Christmas, and that's what's obvious about it. Anybody?
What's up?
So, what do you think about up until now? Because see, Jack doesn't really even seem to get what Christmas is. So, what he's doing and how he's going about things.
No, he doesn't know. I mean, the Halloween Town, they have basically one thing on their mind most of the time, and he's the odd one out. Because while he does get it, he knows that there's more to life than just scaring people. But yeah, Christmas is a whole different thing for him.
Yeah, it's like he goes and experiences all these like new ideas and feelings and stuff like that from Christmas Town, and he tries to bring it back to his own breed of people, and they're still thinking exactly as scary as everything else. So when he tries to convince them, he wants to basically create Christmas. All these people of his town are thinking of in different ways how to scare people. And that's what happens when they incorporate their own mentality with the idea of making these toys and all that these things for a Christmas takeover, kind of, sort of.
He's in a rut. He's having a feelings of ennui, a little bit of depression going on. He's feeling down, and he's looking for something to get out of it. So Christmas is that.
Right.
That's something.
Right.
Yep, and there's kind of a Frankenstein thing going on in the background. Our sewing unsewn doll almost character.
I did.
Sally.
I did have the thought as I was watching it this time that I'm kind of annoyed and disappointed that I have not yet been to see Poor Things, because the thought occurred to me, I wonder if that movie was at all inspired by this one. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see eventually, but
But what do y'all think about the different characters of Halloween Town?
There are some characters. I did want to say one more thing, tying back to what you said before, Dave. It's a little misleading to go too hard into the idea of this being a Grinch story because Jack is not trying to steal Christmas. He's not trying to take things away. He's trying to help. He genuinely thinks he's doing Santa a solid. He's genuinely trying to enliven Halloween Town and make it a more exciting place. He's genuinely trying to do good. So it's a different motivation than the Grinch, but especially this version of the Grinch we just watched, I think there are definitely some spiritual. They're definitely spiritual cousins in a sense. I can see that, and he does incidentally come really close to screwing things up. So, yeah. So it's an interesting comparison, and I think I only listened to parts of the last discussion to prepare, but I feel like I had made mention of that I think in my notes that I had seen that the Grinch was an inspiration for this. So it's there.
Yeah.
It's definitely there.
It's there to me like as a guideline almost. It's just Tim Burton's world of characters are entirely different.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely more of a jumping off point than a guideline, but I I see what you're saying, and yeah, all the characters, most of the characters in this film clearly are references to various characters or character types or archetypes or whatever. Some of them are drawn directly from pop culture, some of them are not, but like Sally and the Professor are very obviously references to Frankenstein and his creator. You've got a few, you've got vampires, you got the creature from the Black Lagoon, you got a werewolf, you got witches, you got all those. And one of my favorite ones is the fact that you have a literal two-faced politician.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Which I wonder if it's kind of a reference to Batman just a little bit.
Could be.
As far as Two-Face goes.
Which actually, I think I mentioned this, or Forrest might have mentioned this in the Batman discussion. There was a plan for Billy D. Williams to become Two-Face in the Batman movies, but then Tim Burton got the boot, and they decided to still go with Two-Face, but it was a very different than what we would have gotten. Yeah.
But yeah. And the teenagers, well, Dammy, what happened with the teenagers? They had a totally different idea, didn't they?
Well, they weren't supposed to take Santa to Boogie, but they took him to Boogie anyways, even though they were not to.
Their whole intention was to bring him to Oogie Boogie.
You're calling them teenagers. You really think? I guess.
Well, they are sort of.
They seem more like little kids. Because think about it, they're kids that are still trick-or-treating.
They're trick-or-treaters, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say they're, if anything, they're tweens at best.
Yeah. But if I'm remembering correctly, is it Locke the main one? One of them is actually voiced by Paul Rubens.
Yep.
I think we Locke. Yeah.
Pee-wee. We know him as Pee Wee Herman.
Among other things, yep. And actually, he was Oswald Cobblepot's father in Batman Returns. He had a long history with Tim Burton. They did
also Oswald Cobblepot's father in the Gotham series as well.
Oh, right. They did bring him back for that. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But in any case, yeah. In fact, I think not too long ago, I think there was something that happened with Billie Eilish, where they brought those three that played the characters of the trick or treaters, and they did a live performance of it before Paul Rubin died. Um, so that was kind of cool. Anyways, moving on. Tammy, bring us a little bit forward.
Well, we see that Oogie Boogie has got Santa Claus, and um, he's not exactly being nice to him. Um, then Jack is getting ready to take off and be basically Santa Claus, and um, how do you want?
Well, yeah,
Sally
because
Sally tried to warn Jack that this wasn't a good idea, even before he got ready to go. When she was going to make his outfit, she was telling him, "This isn't a good idea. This isn't going to end well." So Jack dismisses it anyways and gets everything all set up, and he takes off. Went to go take off, and this fog comes rolling in, and he can't see anything. But then here comes his faithful puppy dog Zero, who's gonna show the way just like Rudolph did. And he takes off, and he's all wound up. He's stopping at all the houses and handing out the presents, and in the meantime, people are calling the police because presents are chasing them and and scaring the kids, and kind of like all these presents are wreaking complete havoc and scaring everybody, and this is not what they expect from Santa. So they know this is not Santa. So the police coordinate to shoot him out of the air. In the meantime, Oogie Boogie is
Oogie Boogie is actually played by Ken James, who also played King Gator in All the Dogs Go to Heaven.
He's had quite a pretty decent voice acting career, if I recall correctly. But
Did you say James
Let's see.
Page?
Page. Sorry,
Sorry.
Ken Page.
Yeah. And he does a great job. Like I said, I've always loved Oogie Boogie's song, and part of it is because the music is pretty cool. The graphics are like the visuals are really cool, but just his delivery on that song is great.
And he also played Old Deuteronomy in Cats the Musical. So
the best movie of that year.
Yes, I still need to see that.
But any case, so Jamie, what's next?
I think it's the part where he gets shot. He thinks that they're celebrating him, and they're not celebrating him, and he realizes it. And he gets shot out of the air, and when he lands in the cemetery, he's telling his faithful puppy dog that he did. He's realizing that this wasn't right. This wasn't him. That he will and always be Jack, the skeleton. Well, he's the pumpkin head king, right? Is what he says. That's what he's king is, right? Pumpkinhead King
Yeah.
or Pumpkin
Well,
King.
just the Pumpkin King, yeah.
Pumpkin King. And he realizes he will always be Jack the Pumpkin King. That he is not. This is not what he was meant to be. And so then he races back to Halloween Town, hoping that he gets back in time to find Santa Claus, as Santa Claus can make things right. But in the meantime, Halloween Town saw him get shot out of the sky, so they all think Jack is dead.
And so does Oogie Boogie.
Yes.
Which Sally actually tries to help Santa Claus out with her many different parts that she is able to detach from herself. I think she distracts Oogie Boogie with one of her legs.
Yes, and then her hands go and untie Santa Claus. But unfortunately for them, Oogie Boogie catches on and ties them both up.
I do think it's interesting with the montage of toys while Jack is delivering all these toys. What? Come here. Tell us what Santa Claus brought for you this year. And the little kid holds up the shrunken head.
Of course, I remember that was in all the previews and commercials for this one. That
Yeah, it was
very memorable.
Every time I see that shrunken head, I'm reminded of the beginning of Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, in the trolley. When the shrunken head goes, hold on, it's going to be a bumpy ride
on the night bus. Yeah.
Yeah. But in any case, I know a little detour with the Harry Potterness, but yeah.
Random thing I want to throw out, since we're trying to add to what came before. I believe in the original one. I think I had made the observation that the stop motion animation had to be done something like 24 shots per second of film. Apparently it was 12. But I just want to go ahead and make sure I mention that, since I'll probably forget to later. But still, that means each puppet, each sculpture, each whatever had to be posed 12 times for each second of film. So it's no wonder the movie's only 90 minutes long. But, yeah. And anyone that wants to detract from animation, I'll just point at that and I'll be like, this is hard work. Wish I could do it.
Well, it is stop motion clay animation, sort of. From what I understand, I mean, some of it is definitely puppetry, but some of the characters are clay animated, like on the lines of like Gumby and
right. I mean, they're still sometimes referred to as puppets, or at least some of the devices are. It just depends on the particular one.
Yep.
Yeah. But anywho, so you were pretty close to the end there for the plot, right? Is that?
Yeah, because it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So ultimately, Tammy, what does Jack? Is Jack able to save Santa Claus in time?
Yes, he is. And Santa Claus even he asks him, "Can you fix this? Is there enough time?" And he says, "Of course there's enough time. I'm Santa Claus, and he takes off, and later we see Santa Claus ride over Halloween Town, and he makes it snow for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the first time that any of those characters have ever seen snow.
Right.
So that in its essence is kind of a present to Halloween town in a sense.
Which is kind of an interesting thing when you think about it, because Halloween is relatively late in the season. It's not like snow is unheard of at that time of year, but depends on where you are. But like here, snow before Halloween is very, very, very rare. But I think we've seen it. I'm sure where you guys are, it happens every now and then.
So Brandon, what do you think of the toys, and when Jack took them over to the kids in town? What do you think of all that jazz?
Interesting designs. I think it was effective in showing how the Halloween Town residents considered scary things for Halloween, and we're not as used to making things for kids. As what's the word? Hold on. There's something in particular for that. I think would be,
for kids.
there.
Oh yeah. And you know how Disney loves to make things for kids. Although maybe this one was more. Do you think this film kind of skated the lines of things, or was this like out of like Disney's dark days? Or
Well, again, Disney was too scared, too chicken to put it out on their own banner. They put it out on the Touchstone banner instead. But
This was 93.
yeah,
And you got to keep in mind, 93, it is pushing the edge, because we were getting into the era where parents were getting incensed about kids not being protected by like a good foot and a half of like military grade plastic. But during that time, during the 80s and early 90s, kids were allowed to see things that we wouldn't have expected them to be allowed to see. So this would pass with kids with parental guidance pretty easily.
well, I know. I was just wondering on that aspect.
I mean, shoot. Anybody see The Adventures of Tom Sawyer? No, not Tom Sawyer. Was it Tom Sawyer or Mark
you talking
Twain?
about The Adventures of Mark Twain?
Yeah, you ever seen that one?
That's a good one.
Oh yeah, yeah, that one.
Animation there.
Yep.
For kids.
See, that was a proper claymation movie. This actually, I would not call this claymation. This is more of like dolls and figurines, like sculpts. Maybe there's some ceramics involved, but you can tell that they used cloth and. What's up?
I was going to say, really and truly, you could take this and the claymation done by not Aardman. The Aardman did claymation. By God, what's the one who did
Corpse
California
Bride?
Raisins?
Corpse Bride or Coraline?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
That's totally different. I know who you're talking about. It's
I want to say that these kind of things working together is pretty much how Leica came to be, because they combined the two.
Man, I'm drawing a blank.
Stop y'all.
drawing a blank. Wow.
Which is funny, because he has an entire animation studio behind him. I just can't remember his name.
Yeah. Let's see.
But I just
that was part of what turned me off about the movie.
Oh, is it Will Vinton?
Will Vinton, yes,
Will
Vinton.
Vinton,
Yes.
there we go.
I've never been a claymation. I never really got into claymation or any of that type of stuff.
Yeah, I have.
Or stop
You
motion or whatever you want to call it. It just
remember the
never-
California Raisins?
That was a commercial.
Yeah, but those were created by Will Vinton.
I just watched the Christmas
And they-
special. That
Yeah,
long
the Christmas special is a classic.
Yeah. And if you know anything about Will Vinton, he also was part of the stuff that was behind some of the segments in a short film called Dinosaur: A Fun-Filled Adventure, which starred the Little Monsters kid in it, where he had to do a special report on dinosaurs. And half of it was claymation, and half of it was like him acting. So
I mean, I got into the old Christmas, Rudolph and all that stuff, because they're classics. They're old, they're classics and everything. It was like all the stuff that came afterwards, and it was all the big hype about claymation, this and that. And I had an ex who just thought Wallace and Gromit was the greatest and all this.
Wallace Gromit.
And I just,
Hardman.
you know, just really didn't get into the stuff.
I got into some of it. I wasn't as into Wallace and Gromit as much as a lot of other people were. But Chicken Run, that was a good one. In fact, they just came out with a sequel to it just recently. So
Well, you could have fun rewatching it and watching the second one, because I do not want to see it.
that's fine. But we've kind of gone off on a tangent. Is there anything that anyone else wants to say anything about the film? Since we kind of like skated through it. I mean, there are a lot of little things that we didn't like mention as we went through, but is there anything that you guys wanted to clarify or mention?
I got nothing extra to offer this time around.
Okay. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I probably covered most of it before. This is, again, it's not a long film. There's not a lot into it. Most of what I really have to say about it does fall into the production aspects of the film. And then, so for...
Okay, well, let's go into production.
Yeah. Well, and then that, a lot of it is, I've kind of already alluded to, but just the fact that visually, I do think that this is a very distinctive film. It is an unforgettable visual look to it. There are some really, really great shots in the film. Like I like the opener. You have that opening scene, like the little prologue. That's nice. It's a good little startup. But then it goes to black, and just that initial, as you slowly start seeing things come to light, including that shadowy pumpkin figure. It's just like a really cool way visually to start it. Plus, you got This Is Halloween starting. That whole intro sequence has a lot of great visuals in it. I already talked a little bit about the stop motion. Like, I'm just in awe of people who can actually pull that off and make that happen. It's good, and yeah. So basically, that's all I really got to say on that, I guess. And then I got the music in this is just incredible. Very, Halloween. This Is Halloween. What's This? And Oogie Boogie song ones. What's up?
Kidnap the Santa Claus.
Well, no, Kidnap the Santa Claus is fun, but those three are like the great classic songs. There's I think 10 songs total, and a couple of them are reprises of other songs. Like when Santa brings snow, we get a "What's this?" reprise as everyone
Yeah.
else is like, "What's this?" You know. So it's kind of fun.
Okay. What about you, Tammy? What did you think about the production of this film?
I guess now that I give it another look, it was pretty cool, and the imagination for all the different critters. You want to say? I don't.
The characters. I mean, you
Characters.
had vampires, witches, a werewolf, cyclops, a creature from the Black Lagoon ish.
Yeah, I think and of course Sally and and of course Jack himself. I mean, I think the characters were really had a good imagination, and the whole town itself was neat. It was neat looking. It's um after, like I said, after I watched it again, it was I liked a lot of things in it and everything. It was more enjoyable than I thought it would be. So I think they did a good job.
Okay. What about you, Brandon?
Oh,
What did you think about the production?
I mean, not much else that it's left unsaid already. I mean, it's an excellent film, production design wise, both musically and visually. As I said before, I think that the animation styles, it kind of combines a lot of the styles, the claymation styles of Aardman and Venton, with kind of the Rankin Bass styles of the puppets that they had manipulated. And I think that was on purpose, a lot of that, if you look at it, just because, I mean, think about it. What's more Christmassy than Rankin Bass? I mean, really, if you think about it.
True that.
And in fact, the whole thing with Zero having the glowing nose might have been a direct reference to Rudolph, to the old special. You know.
Ready? Well, I thought the production was pretty darn good myself. Uh, I mean, yeah, you definitely get a lot of cool visuals. Like, I think the part of him walking down that thing at the sunrise, and the different visuals that you get of the different characters. Um, Honestly, I think of this film more in with the music than anything else. It is very much a musically inclined film. And since I'm going into the music a little bit more the soundtrack of this, there's actually a very cool rendition of "This Is Halloween" by Marilyn Manson. On the soundtrack, if I remember correctly, and he's kind of become a little bit.
Not on this soundtrack, surely.
Well,
I know he has recorded it.
There is a soundtrack of music that has to do with Nightmare Before Christmas. That has "This Is Halloween" on it because I've come across it. And I think it's of different people doing different variations of the songs from this film.
Okay.
So, but other than that, the soundtrack to this is great. Originally, I thought Chris Sarandon actually did the singing for it, but once I found out that it was Danny Elfman himself, I was like,
apparently Elfman was writing the music, and he identified so much with Jack that he really wanted to play the role. And apparently Tim Burton was like, "Oh yeah, go for it, dude," something like that. But apparently, while Elfman nailed the singing, he or his producers or both were less thrilled about his acting, and they hired Chris Sarandon because he sounded like Danny Elfman. So, so there you could be very what's the word I'm looking for? You could be forgiven for mistaking them. But yeah, I didn't know that for years either. I always thought it was just the same guy singing.
So Tammy, what did you think about the music?
I thought it was good.
Hmm? Did everybody else cut off, or was it just...
I didn't hear it either.
Okay. Tammy, we couldn't hear you you cut off. Dave, can you hear us? Odd.
Yeah, it's very peculiar.
For both to shut off. Well, while we're waiting, why don't we go ahead and talk about the music, and they'll come back. We spent, on the last one, there was almost an hour spent on the music, and a lot of it was spent on Danny Elfman and Oingo Boingo before we even got in through our introductions.
Right.
So I think that if you really want an in-depth look at the music and the film from us, I really do think that discussion is worth visiting. Plus, I feel like the effort that went into that discussion is worth more than the 10 views it originally got.
Yeah, well, they probably looked at that 3-hour runtime. Well, I
But
would
it is
recommend
good.
doing
It's
it
a good
in pieces.
It is probably one of the more iconic soundtracks by Elfman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was not a rehash of a previous soundtrack. It was pretty original, which is also a pretty cool thing from him.
Yeah, one of the things with Elfman is he, and I believe he did the Grinch too, if I'm remembering correctly. He definitely does seem to be rehashing himself a lot nowadays, but in the early 90s, he was still making the transition from Oingo Boingo to composer extraordinaire. And there was a lot more room for originality then. And he still does great scores, but he does cannibalize himself a lot. But yeah,
but not, which is great.
What's that?
But not here
Yeah,
to my
sorry
knowledge.
about that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys got to. I said that I really liked the music. That a good friend of mine really loved the song at the end because she really liked Sally.
Okay.
And I agree, like what you guys said about the beginning. That was really catchy, the beginning song. But I like the other ones too.
Yeah. And I will concede, even though I have never been a fan of Marilyn Manson, I do like this cover of This Is Halloween.
Actually, Marilyn Manson has some pretty cool covers. I mean, his cover of, what was it, Sweet Things or...
Sweet Dreams,
Sweet
yeah, that was also pretty good.
That was also really good. And I can't remember which one that was. I think it was The House on Haunted Hill that had that cover on it.
You may be
So,
right.
so he's pretty good about making really dark covers of already semi-dark films. Like
Right.
Alice Cooper did something like that too, because he took that song "Because" from the Beatles and made it much creepier. And the song, because is creepy just in general. But unfortunately,
I
it
made a
was
version of Tainted Love, and I put a spell on you as well.
Just be glad Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is not a holiday film, or else I would throw that out for second chances right there. We would see about that film.
Yeah.
Well, I like the band Halloween. So
I like the band Halloween, which was pretty cool.
I met them years ago, but I met them.
Okay. Well, I think we're ready for favorite scenes and/or favorite characters. So, Tammy, since this was your pick, why don't you tell us your favorite scene or scenes, or favorite character or characters?
Well, of course, I like Jack, but I like his puppy dog Zero too. Zero tries to be there for him. Favorite scenes? Um, I think I actually like when all the kids are getting their presents and getting scared. In the presents, that whole little montage of the presents are chasing the kids and the parents and everything. It's funny.
Okay. How about you, Brandon?
I like Oogie Boogie and the Oogie Boogie song, which I think has a lot of cool set design to it.
Okay. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, the whole Oogie Boogie sequence is probably going to be my favorite. The opening, "This Is Halloween," intro to everything is pretty close second, and then maybe that final sequence with Jack and Sally. Probably it's hard to pick a clear favorite, but the Oogie Boogie sequence is probably my favorite overall, and certainly was my first favorite scene.
See, I like Oogie Boogie as a character, and I like the Oogie Boogie song, but I get a kick out of the Kidnap the Santa Claus song more than anything else. Maybe it's because of, knowing now that that one of them is Paul Rubin, and they did a phenomenal job on that song, because they can sing it in unison, in pitch. So when you hear it, it's like, "Kidnap the Santa Claus, tie him up with string," and they go up or down with pitch, and it's fucking great. It's a good magical. So, to me, I get a kick out of that song. As far as characters, I do like Jack Skellington as a character, but Oogie Boogie is kind of a close second, even though he's just a bag of bugs.
Oh yeah, as far as characters, Jack would probably be my favorite. Sally and Oogie would probably be the others.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, we gave a good discussion here, or a rediscussion actually. I thought we did. It was not an entirely long one, but these don't need to be long. But knowing that Tammy likes it a bit better, makes me think that we did our duty. So, hopefully, you like our discussion. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film and what you thought of our rediscussion. And just go out and see the film if you have not. If you're a new Gen Z that hasn't seen it, go out and see it. If you're a baby boomer like some of us, go out and see the film. Like, share, and subscribe. And do we need to do our outros, or do you think we're good?
We should talk about what next week's film is, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
So I decided to go ahead and try and redistribute so that I would fit the thing better, because I like A Meowy Christmas and I've seen it multiple times. So it would not work for second chances. I don't know if anybody here has actually seen the film once, so it's really hard to go for second chances there.
Right.
So I decided to go with one that I've only seen twice, and I could probably use my holiday viewing of it this year as my second chance, and I'll rewatch it with the commentary for the discussion. And that's Holiday Inn with Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby, and what was the it only gave that. I wanted to give the female co-star Marjorie Reynolds. Yeah, so a classic, known for the song White Christmas, actually won the Academy Award for it.
Yep.
So, a pretty important one, but one that is a little bit leery to watch these days. So I think it'll be a fun discussion nevertheless.
And it's appropriate to the theme because it covers multiple holidays, just like this. Now I'm thinking maybe I need to find one that covers multiple holidays.
I mean, it's all over the board holiday-wise, so
Right.
it is perfect for the discussion.
Yeah.
That one can be watched most times of year that there's a holiday involved.
Yeah.
And yours is the one that's going to be next, correct?
I'm going to think if I need to recalibrate, because apparently, because mine doesn't.
Mine is definitely next. So, and then Jake's rounds us out at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, those. I know we just recently had a Christmas party with our car club, so we were celebrating Christmas a little bit this last weekend. So hopefully all of you ladies and gentlemen out there have enjoyed all of your holiday parties and festivities by now, and we'll see you next week here on Inside Movies Galore. So everyone say good night.
Good night,
everyone.
Good night.
I can't end it. Can you?
Yeah, I can end it for you.
Okay.
Huh.